Welcome to Yin Yoga Lifestyle. I am your host, Colette Darville. Cultivating our body's resilience and inner silence and its application to all aspects of your life. Let's become enlightened and enjoy the power of intuitiveness and creativity. You are listening to Society Bites Radio, social interaction for the mind and soul. Hello, and thank you for joining us today. I am your host, Colette Darville, and this is Yin Yoga Lifestyle. So now let us take a deep, meditative breath. Inhale, so. Exhale, hum. E Lawton is an artist, art therapist, and art educator living in River Falls, Wisconsin. Anne received her Master's of Science in Art Therapy from Mount Mary University in Milwaukee in 2011, and since then has been teaching full-time in the art department at the University of Wisconsin, River Falls, and facilitating art therapy as a registered art therapist to a wide variety of populations in the Twin City metro area. As a mixed media fine artist with formal training in printmaking and photography, Anne finds that the application of paper, drawing, and paint forgiving, allowing her to add and subtract elements as necessary to investigate the essence of everyday experiences and circumstances. She believes that visual expression and the process of art making allows the perspective to transform random, seemingly meaningless events into contemplated moments of significance. In her work as an art therapist, Anne has worked with a wide range of populations, including individuals, groups, and communities living respectively with depression, anxiety, addiction, and trauma. Regardless of the specific therapeutic needs, Anne has been a witness to the power of art therapy through working with clients and providing them with the opportunity to participate in the innate life force of healing through creativity. University classes taught by Anne include design foundations, drawing courses, freshman seminars, senior art seminar, introduction to art therapy, and honors seminar. She was awarded the 2018 College of Arts and Sciences Outstanding Teaching Award for Excellence in Teaching at the University of Wisconsin, River Falls. So I would like to welcome you, Anne, to our show today. I'm very excited.
Thank you so much, Colette. Thank you so much, Colette. It's so great to be here with you on a lovely Thursday morning. Thank you so much.
Yes, it is Thursday. I can't believe it. It's already Thursday. And yes, I have so many things to ask you, so I'm just going to plow right in here.
Let's do this. Yeah.
Yeah, let's do it. As a formally trained mixed media fine artist, with the printmaking and photography as your focus, what made you decide you wanted a career as an art therapist?
This is a great question that I get asked a lot. And I think consistently my response to this is I'm still daunted. I'm like, but I'm still a kid. I don't know what I'm doing. What am I doing here? I don't know what I want to be when I grow up. But like at the same time, I know I'm living my calling. It's like this strange simultaneous, who am I? Where am I? Oh yeah, this is what I'm doing.
Yeah.
So first and foremost, I've always been an artist. That's never not been a part of who I am. I was very fortunate to have parents that early on in my life, they saw my gravitation towards art and art making, and they really fostered that curiosity. So when it was time to apply for college, it wasn't a surprise to them that I'd be, going to major in art. They're like, of course, figure it out. Whereas maybe, I don't know, encountering students that I work with, parents are always a little skeptical, like, what are you going to do with that degree,
Right.
Which is always a bias in the arts and creativity. When it seems like the outcomes are so unknown, but my parents are like, yep, whatever, she'll figure it out. They believed in, just the fact that I was going to college was the most important part. So And I have this over romanticized idea of like, yes, I'm going to go to college and I'm going to be a painter, and my lifelong goal is to have a studio and paint and be really deep and metaphorical and drink coffee too much and at night,
Smoke cigarettes.
it was just that, like, I hyper romanticized idea of what an artist
Right.
was. And so coming from a background where my parents were and their families were educators or working in the medical field, there's always that desire, and it was instilled in me to want to use your talents for good and to help others, and to that was just instilled at an early age. And so at the end of my sophomore year, I was enrolling in classes, and I just needed something to fill my schedule. The apathetic college student that I was like, whatever, I just get credit. And so I enrolled in this class, just like, okay, this sounds cool. I've never heard of this before, but it was called Introduction to Art Therapy. And after that first class, it was just like I was sitting there like a movie montage, and like you just picture the camera zooming into my face, just like, what? This is real? The capabilities to help people through art and creativity. Like, I went and declared a psych minor the next day and continued to work towards that. So I think my upbringing with my familial structure and the values instilled in me in an early age really helps. And then being able to then go on and continue to see how art is beneficial to people and their mental health, obviously it kind of bloomed open.
Yeah,
That's a long kind of wordy answer to that.
Wow.
But yeah.
But that is really an area of art that not many people really understand. That there is an art therapist, right? And of course, with this ongoing pandemic and the uncertainty we're living in now, for a lot of people, how are you personally dealing with life these days? I mean, do you have any tips for us?
Right. And it feels very strange. I think this notion of being someone who is quote unquote a professional in, wellness, even in a pandemic, I'm like, I don't know, guys, like today
it's different.
I think I'll go back to bed, being able to like admit like every day is different. And getting, like how I see this too is it mirrors so beautifully the creative artistic process that if we're using this metaphor of creativity and art, like we're going to encounter, we don't sometimes know how to start. We don't know what to do with the resources we have or don't have. We don't know where to, once we have something on the paper, where it's going to go. And I think that since March with the pandemic, we've all been encountering that in our personal lives. Like, well, now
absolutely.
what? Like,
yeah. So
because
true.
there's no, it's not a paint by number. It's a very chaotic, I almost see it as like this tangled ball of yarn of we can't find the starting point of getting this detangled. And I know, like, as someone who thrives on personal interaction, like one-on-one physical interaction, that's how I've always, like with teaching or my art therapy, being completely removed from people has been a super challenging experience, not just professionally, but personally. I think that my approach and what I keep on telling students and other people that I work with is a day-by-day approach is just fine. Because everything is changing so rapidly, it's hard to feel prepared anyway.
Yes.
If that makes sense. So
yeah,
I think
it does make sense.
It feels like really weird to like offer any tips because I'm like, I don't know, guys, I'm figuring this out too.
Yeah.
But just to be that constant like practicing of kindness to oneself, just even today, I, waking up, I'm like, oh, what is it? Wow, I'm really groggy and I didn't sleep well. And, I'm just showing up today for this podcast has to be enough, right? Like, not saying like
Yeah.
I don't need to save the world today. It's not my responsibility, but just like, all right, did
Oh
you
no,
get out of bed?
that
Cool.
comes at the end of the show.
Oh, right. We're working up to it.
Yeah, I'm just working you up to it, actually.
Right.
No,
Well, thank you.
you're welcome. Art therapy, it's so beneficial. There's so many people,
Right.
and I know you work with people who experience trauma and depression and addiction. Can you explain how the process works, and can someone expect to heal or at least start feeling better soon after they begin therapy? That's a huge
Right.
question for a lot of people.
It's huge. And
Yeah.
I think people who haven't been to therapy or counseling before don't know what to expect, or there's this maybe not so accurate representation of what therapy or art therapy is in the media.
Right.
It's okay. So art therapy, of course, is beneficial. Art therapy is, a regulated mental health profession where we use art making projects and directives, as we call them, to help participants process whatever they're in counseling or therapy for. So whatever you would go to counseling or therapy for, just talk therapy normally, again, art therapists can, work in those situations as well. And also what we would describe as beyond the, four walls of therapy. Like, it's not just in like a clinic, it's not just in an office complex, but like out in the communities and out at institutions or different places. So, like the process, how it works, like I was describing earlier, is much like life. Art making, it can be stressful, it can be intimidating, it can be soul awakening, it can be fun, it can be playful, it can be serious. And so with this inherent creativity that we all possess, like we all start the same creatively, we all have, it's very predictable drawing development up until about the age of, I'd say 9 or 10. So, and as children, I mean, you give a 5-year-old a box of crayons, they're going to go bananas because they're like, oh my gosh, this is my moment. This is where I'm going to really shine here. And so that we all go through that. But then, as I kind of joke, but like, it's not really a joke, is like we get educated, and especially in the United States, with standardized testing, there's right and wrong answers. So really, I find a lot of times with therapy, people are coming in because they're stuck in like toxic dichotomies of right and wrong, good or bad, worthy, unworthy. And it's like, well, actually, we're far more complex than that. And we're a myriad of different qualities.
Yes.
So with art making, it helps us see that variety and tap back into that authentic self through making. And that the art making becomes like a bridge or a third person in a therapeutic session. Now, the question whether will someone feel better right away? Often, I don't want to set up a bad expectation for what therapy is, but a lot of times you're doing really challenging work of contemplating oneself and one's situations, and sometimes you'll leave a session just in regular talk therapy or art therapy not feeling better, but maybe feeling worse. That's because you're doing the work.
Right.
Right. So,
Yeah.
It's a process that you are going with an art therapist with that is, it's not, you've got to get out of that comfort zone and break those bad behaviors or thoughts to enact change. And so really, again, it mirrors this beautiful metaphor of making. That not everything you're going to make is going to be awesome. Like, I have far more, what I would consider not great pieces of art aesthetically, but they were still worth doing because it allowed me to grow.
And it's, you've, with all your experience, and you've seen so many clients and so much healing, I expect, you went forward and I didn't say this in the introduction, and I'm sorry I didn't, but you're a TED Talk participant, aren't you? Yes, and you're on and you're also on YouTube. Yes, everybody, she's on YouTube. Yeah, just had to mention that. And in your wonderful TED Talk, you say that you spent time working with incarcerated women, and as an arts educator, And